Hey now, I've been getting a lot of requests to kind of go a little bit deeper dive into country blues rhythm in G. I did one that was basically based off an old Bob Dylan song. Takes a lot to laugh, it takes a train to cry. And I also did one recently, I think I capoed up, where I just did a short lesson on You Ain't Going Nowhere, both of which have a similar, one of them has kind of a bounce to it, and one of them has more of a, almost like a country shuffle. You've heard that a lot before. I'm probably going to do a little bit of both today, so I wanted to do an extended version of that, like maybe a little deeper dive, as I said, and give you some. I'm going to give you some vocabulary stuff that you can use. I'm not going to go through a lot of changes on this one. I may go to the 4 and the 5 chord, or I may not. I may just stay. This is basically a 1/4 groove, so it's just a 1 G chord. Or you can do it like that, but I like this one. I like this. It's just a classic G chord with a pinky down here, and I do that A minor 7th I've talked about. It's really a C in this case. It really functions as a 4 chord. Okay, you can see I'm just strumming, but I want you to see what I'm doing. So knowing that that's the groove, in a way, it's like a shuffle. It's like a country blues shuffle, right? Taj Mahal, all these great country guys, hear that a lot in Nashville and beyond. So the question then is, what are you going to fill in when you're doing that kind of rhythm? Whether it's a Beatles song, whatever, you want to have some licks to have in between. As I mentioned before, I like to work off the D and G string a lot. Get a lot of mileage off that. Just 2nd fret on the D string, open G. Same thing on the A string. So all I'm doing is hammering on the 2nd fret of both the D and the A string. And it's funny when you're playing over a change, like in the case of You Ain't Going Nowhere, it actually has a same chord changes as Knocking on Heaven's Door and million of them. Well, actually, Heaven's Door is different. It's got a 5, but this one is kind of ooh-wee, ride me high. Tomorrow's the day my bride gonna come. Whoa, Lord, we gonna fly down in that easy chair. So if you're a fan of mine, which I hope you are, if you're not, I'd like you to be more on the mentorship level, because I'm doing a mentorship program at jimmydillon.com, and what that amounts to is us getting together and I show you guys some different techniques, some all the things I've learned as a guitar player, a pro over the years, and then we get together and compare notes and that stuff. So check me out there. So in the meanwhile, back to a G, A minor, C, G, or just a G shuffle. They all work. If you use that D and that G string as a kind of a jumping off place, and then you slide it up to the 4th fret on the G string, you can get some nice, work off that 4th and 2nd fret on the G. There's a lot of melody that you can get off that. I do an exercise where we do a solo with one note, You can actually get, when you're playing over changes and one note pulls on the changes, it creates that tension, right? So you want to be able to move freely as the chord changes are going by, right? So if it's, so you have a choice. You can do like a walk up with the open E string. That's a cool way to start, right? You can also do a walk up on the C chord from the A minor. So if I'm going, when I go to my A minor chord, now walk up to the C on the A string, the A2-3, and land on your C. So repeat that slowly. If you're doing it on an intro to the G song, you kind of 1, 2. You heard that, right? And then A minor. Now walk up to C. Now we'll do hammer on that E note, which is a second fret of the D string. All these little licks, these little cookies in between, are what I think are what move the song forward really, and make it swing in a way, right? Because if it's just, that's fine, that's great, especially if there's singing going on. The glass so swift, the rain won't lift, the gate won't close because the railings froze. Get your mind off wintertime, because you ain't going nowhere. But then when the singing stops, you might want to pick up, right? You can pick up that B note, open B. And now you have an interior melody going on along with the rhythm. And I think a lot of what we do, both acoustic and electric, I've talked about, the whole Hendrix thing, right? How we do chordal melodies. Very cool. And it does make the song, it's kind of adds the mojo to the song, really. But in the case of this, which is again a kind of a Nashville country blues feel, early Bob Dylan stuff, you can do it with open strings, and even with just one guitar player. If you got two guitar players, so much the better, because then you can do little licks, and which I showed you guys on my 60-second lesson. But and I'll get to that in a second. But having said that, I can actually do a melody within the context of my own rhythm playing. See how I hammered on the C chord? Again, using that D and that G string. Cool, huh? It's what happens in between the chords. It's like the little lick, that connective tissue that brings one chord to the next without being overly, you don't have to get crazy with it. Just a little easy going bit is great. So if I'm walking up to a G, or let's I'm just starting out with a G, and I want to do that's kind of working off the melody. I'm kind of accessing maybe the rhythm or the feel of the melody, and playing with it, which you want to do. You don't want to do exactly, maybe you do, but I usually try to mix it up. I'm just picking up notes. So the beautiful thing about playing in the key of G is you got so many beautiful open strings to deal with, and then if you go to an A minor, of course you got that big fat A. So essentially I'm giving myself room. If you think about the music we hear on the radio now, whether it's, it could be Chris Stapleton, it could be anybody. We owe a lot to the early, certainly the early country and blues guys. And that's where Dillon's genius, I think, came in, is that he was able to take a lot of that stuff, that early root stuff, and then, of course, add his phenomenal sense of lyricism and just, basically game-changing lyrics. He was the first guy that was able to, I remember when I heard Tambourine Man, I was like, what? I've never heard a song like that before, the way the words took you on this journey, and there was no real, it was painting a picture, right? But it wasn't like a formulaic kind of brill building kind of like, sort of deal. And I think that's what kind of blew the doors off the joint with Dillon. So I hope you like that. And I'm going to play you out and just see where I randomly pick licks, when I play. I don't really, I kind of have a vocabulary of licks, some of which I showed you. And many of them, basically kind of access the melody of the song, because that's... early in the morning here in Maui. Crowd so swift, the rain won't lift, the gate won't close cause the railing froze. Get your mind off of winter time, you ain't going nowhere. Ooh-wee, ride me high, tomorrow's the day my bride gonna come. Oh Lord, we gonna fly down in that easy chair. And so on and so on. And so now I'm just gonna play, I'm gonna play it out. No singing, just play and see what happens. So there's my lesson in the key of G, little country blues, Bob Dylan style. Hope you enjoyed it. Hit me up at jimmydillon.com. We'll see you down the road.